to help you grow your hair back.
Schedule your free hair and scalp analysis today. Call 904-777-IHRS. That's 904-777-4477. Or visit hair4me.com.
Hello, this is Father Nicholas Lowe, and I want to talk to you about enjoying your life. So often we can go through life trying to make a living instead of making a life. Yes, it's good to be goal-oriented, but let me encourage you today that our days are numbered. We're not promised tomorrow, so go out and take time to be with your family. You'll always have your work, but you won't always have your family.
To hear more inspirational messages by Reverend Dr. Nicholas Lowe, please visit our website at stjohnthedivine.com.
I-9 Sports, offering youth sports leagues all over the First Coast. If you want to find out how you can get your son or daughter in flag football, soccer, basketball, or t-ball, the focus is simply on them. Log on to i9sports.com and get your kid in the game.
No dental insurance? No problem. Introducing the Care Plus program from the dental offices of Dr. James McCall. For only $625 per year, you will receive 2 cleanings and dental exams, a full set of x-rays, plus 1 emergency dental exam and x-ray. You'll also receive a 20% discount on all other services offered. Kids 12 and under will receive the same program for only $525. Call Dr. McCall today at 620-9225.
If your lawn is not as green as you'd like, it's time to go orange by calling Orange Environmental Services, Jacksonville's highest quality pest control for over 45 years. Frank Frangie here. I've trusted Orange Environmental to take care of our home's pest control needs for years. With the Orange Shield Protection Plan for your home or office, you can relax knowing Orange Environmental will handle pest control, termite control, and mosquito control. Orange Environmental has been giving Northeast Florida peace of mind from bug problems since 1972. Call them today at 272-3284.
The Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute is now offering online scheduling for new patient appointments for all of their physicians. Simply schedule your appointment on your cell phone, tablet, or desktop. JOI is the first orthopedic practice in North Florida to offer this feature to patients. To schedule your appointment online, visit joi.net and click on the button at the top of the page. If you'll be using insurance, be sure and have your information handy. JOI, where the pros go.
This is your Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update. I'm Andrew Gibson for Tenson XL. Florida head coach Billy Napier has named Graham Mertz as the starting quarterback for the Gators. Mertz met the media this week in Gainesville.
I love this offense, man. All the ins and outs of it, all the checks. You really need to know what you're doing and what you're seeing, and it frees you up to just go play the game. You got to know what every single person on the field's doing every single play. I love it because it's how do we set this offense and this team up for success, and you have that in your hands every single play.
Florida's starting quarterback Graham Mertz. The Gators will kick off their 2023 season at Utah 2 weeks from tonight. Meanwhile, preseason week 2 in the NFL kicks off tonight in Philadelphia. The Eagles host the Browns at 7:30 on NFL Network. It's 87 degrees at 12 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air Conditioning. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Attention. Attention.
They are not ready for prime time.
Prime time.
Prime time.
Prime time. That's the name.
Prime time.
Prime time. What time is it? Showtime. Prime time.
It's XL Prime Time. Featuring Joe C.
I reduced my toilet paper down to 3 squares.
Mia O'Brien.
Bent over and let it happen.
Matt Hayes.
Terrible.
And Leon Searcy.
I did some curls for the girls.
How you like me now? How you like me now?
Ready to rock and roll. We got football tonight. We got the Jaguars out on the practice field against the Detroit Lions, and we're getting closer and closer to the regular season. That's worth a little Modelo Yellow as we get rolling on a Thursday. We're going to go straight up to Detroit, and we're going to say hello to Frank Frangie. I should have tried to get him to do a little Modelo Yellow, but I don't know if he's good. He's a play-by-play voice, but I don't know if he can handle that. So I'll just handle it myself. I'm looking at Big Surge like, should I ask him to do that or no? No.
I think you underestimate him. He's got a little oomph in him.
Never underestimate the French.
Never.
That's for sure. All right, now he is live on the spot as the Jaguars are taking care of the Detroit Lions right now, play-by-play on the practice field.
Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
You'll get Frank Frangie a couple of hours from now, later in the day, but he is on the ground, boots on the ground. Franz, what is up?
Yeah, it's a beautiful day here, Joe. Good to be with you guys. It's breezy, about 71 degrees now, and they're wrapping up the second of these two practices. Yesterday in pads, today not in pads, but a lot of good work. Man, this thing's chippy too, Joe. It's I've been saying, if you've been listening to the chippies I saw, we just saw one a minute ago that Jack Campbell, the rookie linebacker, clearly late hit on Jermichael Hasty, and both benches emptied again. That was about 2 minutes ago. So chippy workout between these two.
Go Hawks, baby.
Isn't he this back-to-back days, isn't it?
Fun facts. Covered Jack Campbell at Cedar Falls when he was a tall drink of water, 170 pounds, and now he's a pretty fine-looking NFL linebacker. Hey, Frank, first and foremost, we were told per the team this morning there's a couple of players that did suffer injuries yesterday, will not be available for Saturday's game against the Lions. Can you expand what you saw? Foley Fatukasi, Antonio Johnson, Josh Wells, anything that in your estimation looked like it might be long-term?
Yeah, I'd be guessing me. I probably shouldn't do that. I don't. What I will tell you is, I'd be surprised if many of those are long term. Again, I don't want to talk out of turn here, but I think I'd be surprised. One or two of those guys they're going to keep looking at, but I would say the majority of the people you just asked me about, I think will probably be here. If not for the Miami game, will certainly be here when they go to Indianapolis. I don't think there's a lot of long term injuries here. Anton Harrison, for instance, was one of the guys that came off. He was back working today. Foley Fatukasi I didn't see out here today, but I think it's a foot thing. I think he's going to be all right. So I don't think there's a lot of long-term. I'm not trying to duck your question. I'm just trying to be respectful, you know me, and the people that tell me stuff. But I don't think there's a lot of long-term stuff. I'll tell you that.
Now, Frank, how motivated was this Jaguar team, to go up against the Detroit Lions, knowing that last year they didn't meet the intensity of the Detroit Lions that got mud stomped in the game? So going into this scrimmage, what do you think the coaching staff may have told this team to where they're playing inspired football in these practices?
You know what's funny about that, Leon? I don't know that last year's game had a lot to do with it, because Doug was asked that and Dan Campbell was asked that. I don't know that I sensed that, but man, it got chippy. Leon, the minute they started drills yesterday, there was that extra shove at the end of the drill, the extra shove. Well, there were more extra shoves, and that turned into fights and squaring off and having to be separated. So I think the intensity raised about a half an hour, 45 minutes into yesterday's workout. And so I don't think it was as much last year's game where the Jags kind of laid an egg as it was the intensity that started this. And remember now, the Lions just had one of these. They did this with the Giants last week. This is the Jags' first joint practice with this group. So I think that intensity really grew as the practice started out kind of physical yesterday.
Frank, give us some intel, a breakdown, if you can, from yesterday and now today on Anton Harrison v. Aiden Hutchinson.
Well, and again, I'm going to be a homer guy here, Matty, and it's just one-on-one drills. I haven't seen him as much on 11-on-11. I don't want to misrepresent it. He's crushing him in his one-on-one. I mean, he is. The Jags have got the best of that. Now, again, in a real game, there's stunts and there's games and there's zone blitzes and there's things to confuse offensive linemen. In one-on-ones, and Leon did 1,000 of these in his day, it's just mano-a-mano. But Anton Harrison is a really good player. I think one of the things that came out of here was not that I didn't know he was a pretty good player, but he's a really good player. And Hutchinson got frustrated a few times. Now, a play later, when they were 11-on-11 today, Blake Cant, what they did is, because they didn't want Harrison working 11-on-11 because of that shoulder thing. I think he's going to play tomorrow, by the way. I think they're on Saturday, but they didn't want him working today. So they put Cam Robinson in the left tackle, moved Walker Little down to left guard, and moved Blake Cant over to right tackle. Because, again, you got to have some backup. Josh Wells isn't out here. And then it was a little easier time for Aiden Hutchinson. He's gotten the best of him. I think Harrison's done very well in that match. The Jags have been physical. I'll say this. The Jags have been physical. The defensive line, which I think has been just okay, was just okay against Dallas, was just okay in camp, has been better in these 2 days than they've been all camp. I really believe that.
And I think Jaguar fans love hearing that. The Duval Nooners out there love hearing that. We're talking with Frank Frangie. You'll hear him this afternoon at 2 o'clock as well as on the call on Saturday. But I think they love hearing that, Frank. That was a top 6 offense last year, okay? They scored a bunch of points. And so I think people love hearing that. Other guys that might have popped for you as far as practice today.
Yeah, and by the way, your point's a good one. The two tackles are really good. Mark Brunell told us yesterday, Joe, that they got to figure out left guard, but they think the other four spots on the offensive line are one of the best ones. They get one of the best ones in the league. So, yeah, so to that point, that really stood out. I think the offense still looks in good rhythm today. The running backs look so good. I think that's what jumps off the page for me because both teams have good running backs. This Jahmyr Gibbs, by the way, the former Alabama player who went to there from Georgia Tech. Who is he quick? He's a good-looking player. So I think certainly both teams have that. As far as the Jaguar guys that stood out, I'll continue to tell you the one position battle that I'm going to really watch closely, the one guy that I think could lose his starting job, and it's the only one is probably Trey Herndon. You know, you think about it. Most of those jobs are set now. You think about it. There's most of the starting 22. I don't think there's a lot of position battles. They got to figure out left guard, but for the most part, I think those things are set. The one I wonder about is Trey Herndon is the nickel, Joe. He's not a fast guy. You got to play some zone with him in there. He's a physical guy. He's a good tackler. He's not going to be good at man-to-man coverage. And this guy Gregory Jr., who they drafted a year ago, is a pretty good player, man. He's a guy I've been watching. Would not surprise me if he beats out Trey Herndon and wins the job as early as the first game.
And I was actually just going to ask about Greg Jr., Frank, as we wrap up with you here on the All Pro Roofing Hotline. I saw he got beat a couple of times yesterday, but then also, and I know he's not practicing today, Antonio Johnson, we've heard time and time again that he is a safety, but he did have the most reps of any safety in college ball last year within the slot. And so what I'm curious, and my overriding question is, I'm curious about the Jaguars' coverage over the middle, where we know other teams have dinked and dunked them to death over the last few years, and obviously part of that is they've exploited Trey Herndon in particular, but also knowing that Antonio Johnson has worked so much going up against tight ends, and knowing the Lions are especially excited about Sam Laporta and the potential for that position this year.
You know, I wondered the same thing when they drafted him. When they drafted Antonio Johnson, I wondered what you just said. Can he be the nickel? Because obviously that's a position they've got to figure out. And maybe ultimately he can because but he has not worked there. You've been to camp. He's not worked there.
He's more the third safety for when they go up against a strong run team, but he has gone up against Evan Ingram almost exclusively in one-on-ones.
Yeah, that's right. But I don't think he's going to be the nickel. Now, when they go big nickel like they do with Dewey sometimes, he'll compete for that spot. But I think when they're in their nickel defense, which is 4 down linemen, 2 pass rushers, 2 linebackers, I think Gregory Jr. is the one guy that will have a chance, be given a chance to beat out Trey Herndon. But you're right, Antonio Johnson. He's tall. They list him at 6'3". I'm about 6'3". I stood next to him. I mean, he's a big guy, man, and he can run. He's a really good football player. Where I would watch him, Mia, is Rayshon Jenkins is really expensive next year, and you heard that horn. They're wrapping up practice. He is really expensive. I want to see if Antonio Johnson is the replacement for Rayshon Jenkins. Rayshon's a good player, but look, he's expensive. Same thing with Cooper Hodges. Is he ultimately the replacement for Brandon Sheriff, who by next year is very expensive? So this is a great draft class, and I think a lot of those guys are going to factor in.
Now, Frank, it's going to be hard to match the intensity of these joint practices. These guys are going at it pretty good. Do you anticipate the Jaguars playing any of their starters in this upcoming game, or you think they've gotten enough work in these last 2 days to where Doug might sit some guys or he may play some guys? How do you see that going?
Leon, I don't think many of them are going to play this week. I think they're going to play a bit more next week, maybe more than you would have expected against Miami, but I don't think you're going to see them. Here's what I think they're going to do. I think they're going to play those 2 offensive tackles. I think Walker Little's going to play. I think Anton Harrison is going to play. They just need work. They just need to work. So I think every opportunity to play them, I think they're going to play a little bit Saturday, and then they're going to play a quarter or so against Miami. But other than a couple special cases like that, Leon, with young guys, my guess is you're not going to see starters. I could be wrong. They haven't announced anything. But my guess is all the work the starters needed, they've gotten in these 2 practices. So I would be if you're going to ask me to guess, I would guess C.J. Beathard and company start the game, play half the game. Nathan Rourke plays the second half. And then next week against Miami is when they probably game plan a little bit, and you probably see a quarter of real football or real starters. That'd be my guess if I was guessing.
All right, Frank, real quick before we let you go, we saw the receivers basically having their way in 7-on-7. That's, offenses always has the advantage in 7-on-7. Right. In team stuff, were they still getting the better of the line secondary?
They were, and again, I'm trying to be a homer, Matty, but yes, I think when they're in their base formation, which is 11 personnel, which is 1 running back, 1 tight end, which is Ingram, and all 3 of the receivers, boy, man, they're really good. They're really good against this Lions team. Now, again, the offense, even in a padded joint practice, the offense is always going to have a little bit of advantage because nobody can blow anybody up.
Right.
You know, I mean, no, even though you're tackling some, nobody's blowing, and nobody's fearful of being blown up. So the offense is always going to have a little bit of an advantage. But boy, when that 11 personnel's in there, Matt, Travis Etienne, the running back, Evan Ingram, the tight end, and when they've got Zay Jones, Christian Kirk, and Ridley all in there together, I'll tell you this. Boy, it didn't take Calvin Ridley long to fit in. I mean, there's no bad routes. There's no, there's no two people running into each other. There's none of that. So when that group's all in there together, that offense looks very good against the Detroit team. It really did.
All right, buddy. Thanks, man. We appreciate it. You will have plenty more this afternoon at 2 o'clock.
Yeah, fellas, we'll be on 2 to 4 today. Jeff Logman will join me for a good bit of the show today. Tony Baselli's going to stop by, we think, as well. And we'll kind of wrap up the second thing. Thanks, guys.
All right, buddy. Appreciate it. Yeah, I didn't have time to see if he would work in the Mountie Minshew name, as suggested by one of our Duval Nooners. High tide on the south side. I want to go with Canadian Minshew, but when he came up with Mountie Minshew, that's pretty good too. So we'll maybe we can carve that into.
I mean, they're close enough to Canada,
Frenchie's
right?
playbook tomorrow. We'll try. Yeah, it'll work. It'll work. All right, so we're just getting rolling. You got some reaction from the practice. You can react to that. Hit the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures. Let us know what you're thinking. We got to get into some college football talk, but then also pretty much staying on your Jags and the rest of the National Football League. It's XL Primetime on a Thursday.
Cruising with XL Primetime in the First Coast Honda Dealer Studios on 1010XL. Can you imagine a life without 1010XL?
No! Please, no! No! No!
Fortunately, you don't have to.
Woo! Woo! Woo!
1010XL, part of your life.
Problem solved.
Lauren Brooks here. Tired of joint pain holding you back? Try BioTarget from Injury Care Centers. This treatment will prolong the life of your joints by targeting the root of your pain and delivering more regenerative cells to the affected area, ensuring faster and more effective healing, making BioTarget the most advanced regenerative treatment. For a limited time, BioTarget starts as low as $499. Call Injury Care Centers or visit GoBioTarget.com. That's GoBioTarget.com.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes. Forget about those nasty plumbing problems. Fenwick Home Services plumbing professionals are always ready to help. Whether you have a clogged toilet or clogged drains, dripping faucets, no hot water, or other issues, Fenwick's experts offer zero-fee, 24-hour, 7-day-a-week emergency solutions. Technicians arrive promptly on the same day, or you don't pay. Listen to that. You don't pay. Book online in seconds by visiting FenwickEasyBook.com. That's FenwickEasyBook.com.
How's Wingstop sound? Crispy, juicy classic wings, sauced and tossed in those 11 soul-satisfying flavors. Paired with hand-cut seasoned fries, house-made honey mustard, blue cheese, or signature Wingstop ranch. I think you've heard enough. Get your flavor delivered at Wingstop.com.
Wingstop is here, and we're serving up some serious flavor. Classic wings, boneless wings, tenders, chicken sandwich, we have it all. Download the Wingstop app or order online at Wingstop.com from the new Wingstop at 96604 Argyle Forest Boulevard.
The game of golf has never been more popular, and Hidden Hills Golf Club welcomes everyone. You'll love our friendly staff and fantastic golf course. Visit us at hiddenhillsgc.com or give us a call at 620-0910.
Atlantic Self Storage, the official storage partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Need to make room to watch football in your home or need a place to park your boat or RV? Store it all at Atlantic Self Storage. Over 50 locations in Northeast Florida. 24-hour access, all with month-to-month leases. Moving, they can help with supplies. They make storage easy. Go to AtlanticSelfStorage.com or call 877-WE-STORE to find a storage solution near you. Go Jags!
The All-Pro Roofing phone line connects you to some of the most sports-connected minds in the country.
You mean you can actually contact these people?
Listen for great phone interviews all day on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
We'll talk on the phone.
On 1010XL.
Hi, this is Dave Barker with IHRS. If you're looking for a real solution to your thinning hair or hair loss, call IHRS now at 904-777-IHRS.
What's causing your hair to fall out? Can your hair grow back? Get to the root of your problem with IHRS Hair and Scalp Analysis. This analysis magnifies your hair and scalp 400 times to see what procedures can restore your hair. Call right now for your free analysis, 904-777-IHRS, or visit hairforme.com. Stop wasting money on solutions that don't work. IHRS has been restoring hair for men and women for over 30 years. They are the only clinic to offer the trademarked multi-unit hair grafting PRP platelet-rich plasma and the NeoGraft FUE hair transplant procedure.
Schedule your free hair and scalp analysis today. Call 904-777-IHRS or visit hair4me.com. Hairforme.com.
It's time to crank up the heat where the helmets meet.
Huddle up! Huddle up!
Every time something you need to know happens at training camp, you'll hear about it on 1010XL.
Let's go!
Brought to you by Kingfish Pest Control and Roland Leash Plumbing.
Good people drink good beer, and great people drink Mocama, a refined craft brewery out of Fernandina Beach, Florida. Mocama Beer Company brings sophisticated flagship beers, including Cosmico IPA and Dune Garden Lager, to the greater Jacksonville area. Whether you're hitting the water with friends or enjoying a backyard barbecue, Mocama has the perfect beer for your summer activities. Look for us wherever great beers are sold and find your Mocama.
The house is taking a beating this summer with all the in and out. Time to call Zero Res. Right now, Zero Res offering the hottest price of the year on tile and grout cleaning. Get your tile and grout cleaned and sealed for 25% off. Zero Res, man. Spell it forwards or backwards. It's the right way to clean.
People often ask me, Lee, do I have to take the roadside sobriety tests? The answer is no. Hi, I'm attorney Lee Lockett. Auditioning for your freedom on the side of the road can be nerve-wracking. And although your refusal might be used in court, in many cases, it's better to think twice and talk with an attorney first. I have 25 years of experience defending those accused of DUIs and criminal charges all over Northeast Florida. I'm from here, I live here, and I'm here to help you if you need me. I love fighting for your rights. Know Before You Blow. Go to knowbeforeyoublow.com now. Offices Jacksonville.
Taylor Dahl here for Renewal by Anderson. You will love your new custom windows and doors. For limited time, buy 4 windows or patio doors and get the 5th free. The first 50 callers get a free upgrade to TrueScene window screens, plus easy payment plans tailored to fit your budget. Offer expires August 31st. Restrictions apply. Renewal by Anderson, the official window and door replacement partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit rbafla.com. License number CGC 1527613.
Sports injuries are a common issue for both adults and children. Dr. George Barry here, and as a specialist in orthopedic care, the team at Barry Orthopedics and Sports Medicine here in Jacksonville provides comprehensive diagnosis and treatments of all types of sports injuries. With additional training in sports medicine and more than 30 years of experience, the team is available to care for your entire family and help you have fun and stay active. Visit us today at barryorthopedics.com.
And don't forget to check out Breaking Bones Sunday morning, 7:30 on 1010XL.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars, protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. This is XL Primetime, brought to you by Florida Home AC. Now that's cool. On 1010XL.
We're with you till 2. It's XL Prime Time on a beautiful Thursday in Duval County. Thanks to Frank Frangie for checking in from Detroit, where your Jacksonville Jaguars just wrapping up joint practice number 2 with the Detroit Lions. We back here, though, at 1010XL World Headquarters pivot to the college football ranks, where the ESPN Top 100 College Players has been released. Joe C., Matt Hayes, Leon Searcy, how many Florida players do you think are featured in
Well, we'll lead off with Graham Mertz.
Graham Mertz.
I will tell you this.
No way.
No, he is very much not in this list. I will tell you this. This guy he played at West Florida. He plays at Western Kentucky. He got a shout out on yesterday's show. Austin Reed.
It would have been nice if he was in
He's
a
in the
Gator
top
uniform.
100.
Oh, yeah.
But no, I'm not really seeing
No
any.
Florida. Listen, got to be at least 3 Miami Hurricanes in there. I know our
look that
safety's
up
legit,
next,
and we
yeah.
got 2 D tackles.
Let's look up Miami.
Kitchens is definitely in
You
the
do.
top 100.
Kitchens is 58. You can
Okay,
bring that
all
up,
right.
JJ. Very well. Very well done.
That's it?
And that's it.
Oh, that's disgusting.
All right, so how many FSU?
That's clearly I mean, there's not one Florida player in there. Is that what you're telling me?
I'm not
Jason
seeing
Marshall, who's going to be a first-round pick, is not in there.
I'm not
Is that what you're
seeing
telling me?
Who
I'm
are
not
we
seeing him.
PFFing?
Yeah, no, this is ESPN.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is, we had our issues with the PFF. No, this one actually has Michael Penix at 6, which I know Matt was a little bit happier with. And Harold Perkins is 4 in
Plus,
the ESPN ranking.
I mean, Princely Emmanuel is going to be he had 6 sacks last year. He's going to be a sack guy.
I thought he was Emiluayan.
I don't know what it is.
Something like that.
I'm not seeing a single Florida player here.
Yeah, and he is a
4.5
good player,
sacks
by
last
the way.
year.
And by the way, he's been,
Unless my Google Chrome's acting up, I am not seeing a single Gator in the top 100.
all right.
It's
So
surprising to me that Marshall's not in that.
all right,
Very surprising.
We'll get to the FSU players, but I do think like I'm gonna.
No, I searched Marshall and it came up with a player from Marshall.
Yeah.
No Florida Gators.
Mhm.
We got a player from Marshall listed.
All right, so I'm going to switch gears just on one thing and stay in this college football front because I do want to get to the FSU ones here. But let's just do. Well, do you have those right now? Because this.
Yeah,
is,
we have FSU.
All right, so
So-
go ahead and do that, and then I'll hit this other piece.
Spoiler alert, Florida State, the most players in the ESPN Top 100. They have 6 players. And part of why we're doing this exercise, I said to Joe during the break, is because you know Jordan Travis, who clocks in at number 8 overall, which is an incredible rise, Leon, from a guy who transferred and was an afterthought during his early years in Tallahassee. You know who Jared Verse is, the all-star transfer from Albany from a season ago. He clocks in at number 9. But I think it's important for our listeners, whether you're a Florida State fan or a Georgia fan or a Florida fan, if Florida State continues the trajectory that many believe they will follow this year, you're going to need to start learning some of these cats' names. And so those two clock in at 8 and 9. The next highest knoll is actually Ferrell Cypress, who is number 60. Or actually, no, excuse me. Johnny Wilson is number 61. You probably know, here's Johnny, the big-bodied wide receiver. Then Ferrell Cypress at 65. Then Trey Benson, the number 1 running back for Florida State at 69. Very nice. And then Keon Coleman, the transfer from Michigan State, the wide receiver, at number 86.
Now, see, I can't remember the hype train for Florida State this elaborate. Matt Hayes, when Jameis Winston came to Florida State,
Right.
all right. I mean, he was heralded. I mean,
he was heralded.
He was
for sure.
heralded, absolutely. But I mean, that season going into that year, they won the national championship. Was the hype train this much when Florida State won the national championship that year? Now,
there was certainly buzz about him as a redshirt freshman, and then once the Pitt game after week 1, it was everyone was
all
like,
aboard.
Whoa, that's a dude.
All aboard.
I mean, but if you look at what they've done, they added an All-American corner in Fentrell Cyphers. They added a All-Conference potential All-American defensive tackle in Braden Fisk. They added Keon Coleman, who's a terrific number 1 receiver. They've got a quarterback who's playing better than he ever has. They're in a very winnable conference. They should be in the playoff. They should be in the playoff this year. Now, what happens once you get to the playoff, I don't know. But they are in position where they could have a really big year.
Well, the Jameis year might be a little bit more impressive because there was no transfer portal.
Right.
All
and
the
because
guys
they
had to be developed.
Because they had a lot better players.
And a lot
too.
better players. Yeah, Jimbo Fisher recruited a lot better.
But I love Joe's point, too, is they're a physically different team now.
Oh, yeah.
They are a big team now. And I say this all the time.
With speed.
This is how you know you've got an elite team. Every time when the national championship game happens, you go down to the field, the game's over, and these guys are walking around, and they're just giant guys. They're like NFL guys. That's not the way it is in every college football team. You can tell the elite teams in college football, they are just giant men. Georgia is a giant team.
Well, they're big and they can move.
Yes.
Okay.
And it, according to Joe, it looks like Florida State is there right now.
Yeah, it's so funny because I was talking to a legendary high school coach, spin here forever, Sully, and he said from February until now they're even bigger. And so the training table, the weight room, all the stuff that they do. You always hear FSU refer to the mat drills, and every team is doing something in the offseason, obviously. But the collection of talent and the fact that three of those that were named, at least 2 are coming onto the campus this year, not to mention the Jared Verse who walked onto the campus last year, Johnny Wilson who walked onto the campus last year. And so Mike Norvell's done a tremendous job in attracting these players to come from other schools. And, you can mix recruiting and transfer portal rankings now, and it is a real deal.
Well, if no one's been accused of them juicing yet, I'll do it.
Yeah.
They're juicing.
Well, what I think is fascinating,
JJ.
and our boy Rick Ballou did point this out on the Twitter machine, it is worth noting because Rick said, obviously, you look at these 6 players from Florida State, Leon, that are listed, and clearly many of them were transfers. I think all but what? No, actually, I think it is all of them. But Now you look at, especially for those of us that were out at Florida State practice last week, Joe, you look at this next generation, the next iteration of FSU quote-unquote stars who's being, or at least projected to be one. Patrick Payton, recruited, brought to Tallahassee by Mike Norvell. Shaheem Brown, by way of Lake City down the road from us, recruited, brought to Tallahassee by Mike Norvell. And so that's where you look at the transfer portal experiment over the last 5-6 years, and if Florida State is to have the success and the hype train does come to fruition, then if it continues with the guys that he actually recruited, that's where I think it's going to be fascinating 5 years from now to look back on this and say, is the transfer portal how you begin to establish your program in the early years of your regime, and then you turn around while you have those guys on the field and you start recruiting high school kids, and it gives you a little bit of a leeway where you can compete now while waiting for those other guys to develop.
Well, it's all about nurturing. When you bring in a guy who's a transfer guy and he's an automatic starter, that 5-star, that 4-star that thinks he's going to come in and start, gives him an extra year to grow, extra year to learn the system. And then when it's his time, you know, he's either going to produce or he's going to be replaced. The transfer portal now is in a position where if these guys don't turn out the way you think they turn out with the coaching and the feeding and the eating and the sleeping and repeat every day for weeks upon weeks, months upon months, years and years, when it's your time to shine and you don't shine, then you'll be replaced by a transfer guy. Next thing you know, you're out of there. Yeah. So it's even more pressure on these 5- and 4-star guys, you know, that come into Florida State. May not start early, but when it's their time to shine and they don't, then you just go in the portal and find somebody to replace them. Then next thing you know, those guys are out of here and they're going somewhere else.
And these kids are smart. They're paying attention. They know where the opportunity is, and they know where they can play, and the credentials are there. It's not like you're wondering whether they can do it on a college football field. They have done it on a college
Well, I mean, listen, in my day and time when I played it, if you came in and you started first of all, you weren't going to come in as a freshman and start it anywhere of the elite teams, the Penn States, Nebraskas, Oklahoma, Miami, Florida State, Penn State. You weren't going to come in as you knew that you had waiting time. You knew you had at least 2 years before you got an opportunity, and then if you didn't, you had to seize that opportunity. But those teams, well, they were stacked. That's what we always say in mine. We don't rebuild, we reload, because we know that when guys go on to the level, to the next league, the league, now it's the pressure on you to continue the tradition of that school. So I mean, but it's a little bit different now.
Oh yeah. All right, now let's stay on the college coming up in a second because I want to throw a take at you. It has to do with Georgia.
Oh.
Georgia. And something that it's just been kind of sticking in my craw a little bit. So I do think we should bring it up and just kind of stay on college football for another sec.
Absolutely. If you want to get on the conversation, college, Jags, whatever it may be, 641-1010 is the number to reach us at. Again, on Thursdays during the football season, we are only with you for 2 hours on XL Primetime. Then the Frangie Show takes over at 2, and then Jaguars programming at 4 to 6 p.m. It's XL Primetime.
You're riding in the First Coast Honda Dealer Studios. XL Primetime on 1010XL. He's nationally syndicated sports writer Matt Hayes.
And you might be.
And he's Jags beat writer Hayes Carline.
At least he got his name right.
Get more Hayes.
I gotta get me one of those.
Afternoons on 1010XL.
Did you hear? There's an exciting update from Duck Duck Rooter. My friends are thrilled to expand on their already long line of home and business services with the launch of Duck Duck Air Conditioning. As a licensed mechanical contractor, the skilled Duck Duck Air Conditioning team is equipped to handle any HVAC and refrigeration project you can throw at them. Folks, it is hot outside, and there is no reason to be hot inside. Take it from me. Contact Duck Duck Air Conditioning today at 904-862-6769 or online at duckduckac.com. Duck Duck Air Conditioning, your reliable partner in air conditioning and refrigeration services.
At Cannons of Jacksonville, they know that when you're towing anything, you gotta have products you can rely on. With over 50 years of fabrication expertise, the family at Cannons can repair or install precisely what you need to tow with confidence. Whether it's a heavy-duty hitch, trailer frame, gooseneck, tow bar, or any other towing accessory, Cannons will provide you with unmatched precision and durability. For all your towing needs, visit cannonsofjacks.com, where quality and customer satisfaction collide.
The IRS has just received $80 billion in funding to hire additional agents for aggressive collections enforcement. If you owe the IRS, now is the time to take action before the IRS comes after you or your business. There's no time to waste. Call J. David Tax Law, a firm right here in Jacksonville, for a no-cost consultation at 904-507-4777. That's 904-507-4777. Or visit jdavidtaxlaw.com. Peace of mind is only a click or phone call away.
Did you know the new 2023 Honda Accord Hybrid has an onboard system that charges the battery so you never have to plug it in? When you think Honda, you think quality, value, safety. Now think hybrid. Visit your local Honda dealer and experience the car of tomorrow today.
There are 16 spots in the playoffs and just one track left. Well, not just any track.
We're basically going to have to win.
Daytona. A last chance to keep playoff hopes alive.
1 point to the good.
And for fans to experience an event unlike any other. NASCAR weekend at Daytona International Speedway, August 25th and 26th. Get your tickets now at DaytonaInternationalSpeedway.com.
It's kind of like his own private locker, and you're his guest.
Every time we talk, I'm reinvigorated by my love of the game.
Hayes Carline here. Find my blog at 1010XL.com.
Hayes Blog is brought to you by Roland Reach Plumbing, where quality and experience count.
Rick Ballou for Carlson Dental. You know, I've been telling you this for quite some time because it's true. I hate going to the dentist, or at least I used to hate going to the dentist. I had total anxiety, and then I tried sedation, light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation as well for cavities and root canals. Folks, it's an incredible experience. So don't be nervous. Don't be scared. Go to CarlsonDentalGroup.com. That's CarlsonDentalGroup.com for all of your dental needs.
The 9 after 5 rolls on at the Golf Club of Southampton, so get on the tee with me, Joe C. The XL Primetime League is in the summer stretch, and you need to be part of it. Southampton invites you to join us every Wednesday for our 9 after 5. Beat the heat and blow off a little steam with friends and family at Southampton. A great game every week, good grub afterwards, and prizes. Call 287-PLAY and get in the game every Wednesday. It's our 9 after 5 at Southampton. Call 287-PLAY.
Find your why in your next career move at the First Coast YMCA. Everyone can get involved and make a difference in your community at the Y. And if you'd like to turn your passion into a fulfilling career, the Y is an equal opportunity employer and is now hiring youth program leaders, lifeguards, swim instructors, and more. Plus, Y staff enjoy benefits including free YMCA membership and free childcare while you work. Find your passion, find your why in a career at fcymca.org.
There are 3 certainties in life: death, taxes, and if you stay in your home long enough, a new roof. Pick it here for our friends at Lockhart Roofing. Nobody better in Jacksonville. How do I know? They are a local certified Master Elite contractor, and that means they have a GAF Master Elite warranty. That's the best in the roofing industry. In this day and age, don't settle for cheaper discount roofers. Lockhart Roofing has been here for decades. They aren't going anywhere. Call my friends at Lockhart Roofing, 994-3851. That's 994-3851. Lockhart Roofing, Jacksonville's best for Jacksonville people.
Players Grill Mandarin is welcoming the Roadrunners, North Florida's hottest variety band with lead vocalist Glenn Dewberry and lead guitarist Mike Torelli. Friday, August 25th, 8 p.m. at Players Grill, where the neighborhood meets.
Got chronic joint pain but want to avoid steroids and surgery? Take some advice from pro football legend Emmitt Smith. Call QC Kinetics.
Let QC Kinetics help you improve your quality of life with biologic therapies that get your body to repair and restore damaged tissue.
These exciting new regenerative treatments from local medical professionals can help your body heal itself with lasting pain relief.
Trust me, you want to avoid surgery if you can. Check out these biologic treatments to see what your options are.
QC Kinetics, restorative, regenerative solutions with no downtime, no surgery, no drugs.
I'm talking about joint pain we all can relate to in your knees, your shoulders, your hips, and your lower back. They'll get you feeling good again.
Get relief now.
What are you waiting on? Make the call to QC Kinetics. Tell them Emmitt Smith sent you.
Call QC Kinetics, 904-274-5522. That's 904-274-5522. 904-274-5522.
This is Dr. Turner Vossler, Assistant Team Physician for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the latest update on the Jaguars, brought to you by Baptist Health and JOI. Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence was a guest of the Pivot podcast and spoke about his excitement for the 2023 Jaguars season.
It makes me really excited, especially knowing how I felt halfway through my rookie year and how I feel now and the confidence that I have, and not really myself necessarily, that as well is super high, but in this group, in this staff, and like the whole city. I think it's been cool to see how that's flipped, because it's a totally different place than it was a couple years ago.
It is preseason week 2. Jaguars at Lions. Kickoff Saturday at 1 o'clock. Right here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. I'm Andrew Gibson with your Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Jaguars update.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, Joe C's 1010 Take. Slow smoked and served up by Sonny's Barbecue. Local pitmasters since 68.
Now, we have got Sonny's with our kickoff show coming up, talking college football a bunch with Matt Hayes and our pitmaster, Shannon Snell. That will begin in a couple Saturdays, but you can start planning your tailgating right now. Hit one of your areas Sonny's for lunch, for dinner, or start planning that tailgate. I got to get into this one because this one is just rubbing me the wrong way. Reese Davis, one of the voters in the AP Top 25, says he did not vote Georgia number 1 because they're, quote, unproven. 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 Now, here's what he said. I've said that the quarterback is unproven. That's a simple fact. I also said if he plays well early, no matter the subpar competition, I'll likely move them to number 1. I have no idea why I respond to any of this, but I'm on a plane, caught me at a weak moment, and thanks. So I love Reese Davis. I think he does a great job, and I don't mind if you want to stand out and be different, okay? But I know how important the quarterback position is, and obviously it is unproven on the campus of Athens, as we have talked about it. But I'm going to roll through his top 10, and who in the hell else is not unproven? So the 10-10 take is Reese Davis. What are you thinking not putting Georgia number 1? You say what, Leon?
I mean, he wants attention. He knew y'all was going to look and find that he was the one voter, and he was going to get the spotlight shined on him. There's no way you cannot back-to-back national champions. You can.
So who does he have number 1 though?
Yeah, exactly. Who does he have number 1?
So let's go through this. By the way, there are. Let me see if I can count them. It looks to me like there are at least. Well, we looked at the number the other day. There is at least 3 or 4 that did not vote Georgia number 1. Now the choices are Michigan and looks like Ohio State have been chosen as at that top spot. Okay, so here is Reese Davis's top 25. We don't have to go through all of them. He has Michigan number 1. And is it because the quarterback is proven? Well, I suppose so. But they lost to a team that lost to the team by 60-some points.
They've certainly proven that they can't win a national title in this era.
Do you know what Jim Harbaugh is against the top 10 schools? I believe 1-5 or 1-6. Okay, and you're going to tell me that they deserve to be preseason number 1? So Reese has got Michigan, Georgia, FSU, over LSU, which is 4th, Alabama 5th, Oklahoma. Again, Reese, I got a lot of respect for you, but how in the world do you have them that high up? Excuse me, I take that back. Ohio State, let me amend that. Ohio State, USC, Tennessee, Clemson, Texas, Penn State. So, I mean, I can't help but look at it like there's so much good on the Georgia football team that while we know it's an unproven quarterback, Alabama, Matt, top 5, there's an unproven quarterback there. We went through this exercise with the other schools that are trying to figure out. Tennessee, you'd still have to say, has an unproven quarterback in Joe Milton. Ohio State doesn't know exactly who their quarterback is, and they're among the top 6 in the selection. I mean, come on.
So I got a couple ways to look at this. I don't think Tennessee's quarterback's unproven. I think we saw what he could do against Clemson, one of the top 10 defenses in the country in the Orange Bowl. So I don't think he's unproven there. I agree with you on Alabama 100%.
Yeah.
And to an extent, look.
Ohio State.
Of course, Ohio State. Look, he's a local guy, and we all want to see him do well. Carson Beck has not been 3rd and 9 late in the third quarter in the SEC on the road when you need to throw.
Right.
He hasn't been there yet. Yeah. So while I understand what Reese Davis is saying, he's an Alabama grad. That's number 1. Okay. Number 2, I'm not saying that's the reason. Yeah. I don't know why you would say that and then not immediately say it's not just Georgia that has the quarterback issues.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind
another king of college football over the last, however many years.
Right.
Alabama does. Ohio State does. The only one who doesn't is Michigan.
Right, because that is 2 of your that's 2 of your top 6 or 3 of your top 6, if you're going to include Georgia in this conversation, 3 of your top 6 have unproven quarterback situations. And I'll agree with you on Milton versus Clemson, but we also know that he lost that job before. That's the only reason why I say he's a little unproven. And so I just look at it. I can't help but say, oh, come on. That team is going for history. It's back-to-back. Maybe he wants to maybe provided the chip that they need to put on their shoulder.
I guess, long story short, I think it's very fair what he said. I think it's fair for him to say that Georgia has quarterback questions.
Right.
I don't know if that means they shouldn't be the number 1 team in the country. I still think if you're going to put them on the field against anybody in the country right now,
I think
on the first week of the season,
Right.
they're winning that game.
Yeah. Anytime you put unproven and Georgia in the same sentence, Leon, I think you're missing something. And Kirby has had a blind spot when it comes to quarterback, but it worked out.
That's also part of the equation. Let's not forget that.
Yeah, he has had a blind spot, but if we're being real,
it's worked the last 2 years.
Yeah, it did work out with Jake Fromm, and it did work out with Stetson
But
Bennett.
to be intellectually honest, who says it wouldn't have worked out with Carson Beck?
Yeah.
Who says that he just played Carson Beck that week, even though he practiced poorly that week? And, a lot of guys don't play well in practice, then get to the game, and boom, it clicks.
Yeah.
So what if he's one of those guys? What if he's a guy that went back-to-back national champions, he'd be in the NFL right now. He'd be in an NFL camp right now, competing for a starting spot in the NFL. So we don't really know. You don't really know about anybody, especially that position, until they're in the weeds and the bullets start flying and you got to make a play.
Yeah. I don't know. But I just thought that was one that will definitely provide a little extra fuel.
Wait, you don't know
for
that you
Georgia
think
Bulldogs.
you don't know about what? About Carson Beck or
Well, I agree.
or about Reese Davis?
Yeah, no, I love the fact that Reese did that, because of what, Lee, I don't know
You have
that
to stir the pot a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know that he did it by design just to draw attention, but he definitely did what's wrong with an unconventional thought? Instead of going obvi, let me go anti-obvi. And I'm okay with that, but at the same time, preseason votes really don't matter. They don't mean anything. So why not recognize back-to-back defending champion who's returning a ton of production and won 2 natties with a walk-on? I mean, at the very least, recognize that part of it. And so this was a 5-star who's taking over the walk-on's position.
So you're thinking it might be a little bit of the Alabama bias.
Well, if Drew's right in the fact that, if Georgia was relying on their offense and their quarterback play the last 2 seasons to, win them these titles, if they're winning games 45-38, where the quarterback has 4 touchdown passes, that's not how they won whatsoever.
They
So who
step on
cares
people.
that they have a new quarterback?
Yeah, they step on.
I don't know that game
I'm
against
not
Ohio.
minimizing
I'm not
Stetson
saying
Bennett, man.
Stetson didn't have games like that, but that
still the
certainly
defense-
wasn't how they were winning.
No,
most
no doubt
of
about it.
those
But
games.
but in big games, man, he was a dog both years in big games. Really,
And the one
really
game he
played
messed
Can't
up on.
disagree with that.
Yeah, the one game he messed up on, he came right back. Now, again, we talk about injuries with Alabama. When he came back, he played a ton better in that rematch against Alabama. We all know that. So, anyway, it just gets you a little bit when you're thinking about it. Back to the top players in the college football world. The fact that Florida State does have as many as they have, they are now climbing into that conversation. If they can keep it going with what the Georgias have been able to do, because they've been able to stockpile. LSU, we know how good they are, not just at the quarterback position, but that's ultimately what it takes for any of these teams to sustain.
How much transfer portal activity, Matt, does Kirby really get into? When you look at those 2 teams that just won national titles, what would you say a percentage would be of guys that transferred into Georgia versus guys they developed?
Well, they got 6 or 7 guys this time.
Still pretty small, though, isn't it? This may be the busiest.
Compared to others,
right?
He's probably in the lower half, no doubt about
this
it.
This may be the busiest of the transfer portal
for him,
years
definitely.
for him.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
But, let's be fair.
He sends more into the transfer portal than he takes from the transfer portal.
He won a national championship with a quarterback. The quarterback was going to come back, but, wanted to know whether, if you're going to be some assurances that he was going to be the guy. Kirby went hard after Caleb Williams, wanted him badly. So it's not like he ignores the portal.
I got you.
I think he picks and chooses where he thinks it could help. Not unlike Nick when they got those 5 starters 2 years ago with Gibbs and
right.
The tackle Taylor,
got the tackle from Vandy.
Taylor Steen, right? Yeah. So I think you take what you need, especially when you're at that level, when you're an elite high school recruiting program like they are. You just pick and choose what you need, and they needed receivers, so he got 2 receivers. And that's where they went this time.
Now, man, let me ask you, as far as Florida State having 6 guys in their top 100, right? The fact most of those guys are transfer guys. I mean, is that an indictment on their development of their recruiting class to where none of those guys are starlets, sort of say that most of the guys that are in the top 100 are guys that he brought from the portal? I mean, what does that say about his ability to develop players where he's just picking? He's cherry picking these guys from the transfer portal, and now they're panning out, which is good for them. They're having an impact, but I mean, it got to be some guys that he recruited or developed that
so there are.
Yeah, okay.
There are, but I think what he's done is ingenious. I mean, he realized like their reputation when he got there was not good among high school players. So his idea was, all right, we're going to start with a portal. Not like we're going to ignore high school recruiting, but we have to win games at some point for these high school players to say, all right, I want to come here and play. Not unlike Florida, not unlike Miami.
Right.
And he really has hit the portal hard, not just the last 2 years, but all 3 years. So I think you look at what he did, it was smart as hell is what he did. And he took a big chance, because if you don't hit on those portal guys, which again, you got to bring them in, they've got to assimilate to what you do immediately.
Right. Yeah.
You've got to have that chemistry immediately. And they've had that chemistry now all 3 years.
Yeah.
And now here we are with a guy that now that he's got it turned on the field, now look at their recruiting. Now they're top 10 high school recruiting for 2024.
Now, let me ask you, how's he go about the due diligence of finding out if this guy is going to fit the program? I mean, because
you just do your best.
Because
it's like every other coach
that's a huge gamble. I mean,
it's a huge gamble.
You go and get a transfer guy.
Yes.
I mean, and you implement it into your offense or your defense or whatever position he may be.
Yeah.
And he may not pan out, or he may not be the assistant guy. So, I mean, you've got to do some research
not only
on
that,
this guy.
not only that, you run the risk of him not fitting in your locker room. I forgot about that part.
You
run the risk of the guys you've developed getting pissed off because you brought a guy in and recruited over them. There's all kind of stuff like that. That's why I said what he's done. If they go on to the playoff and they have an incredible run and they win the national title, that's going to be the huge story. He's going to be the guy. He will be the portal genius, the guy who figured it out, who figured out how to get everybody together, make everybody happy,
right,
and not piss off the rest of the roster.
Right.
And now he's got it to where, look at their high school recruiting right now.
Yeah.
What are they ranked? I think they're ranked like number 8 right now.
And not to mention, too, you had guys who came back.
Right.
Because they wanted to be a part of this.
Yeah,
guys that
they
transferred
knew they were playing
in.
for something good.
Right, guys
Yeah.
that transferred in, probably would have cashed in and gotten drafted this past year
at the
and
minimum.
came back.
They're 5th right now.
Yeah.
Fifth.
Okay, at the minimum,
Think about that.
Jarrett Verse would have gone very high. Johnny Wilson would have been drafted fairly high. Trey Benson would have, running backs are still going to struggle a little bit to get drafted, but the bottom line is, yes, they came back for something. Now, one on the text line.
Hang on real quick. You know who has more 5 stars committed for 2024 than FSU? Only Georgia.
Yeah. They've got more than anybody ever.
Ohio State is the same as Georgia. Yeah. So 2 of the 3 biggest programs in college football in the last decade are the only teams that have more 5 stars.
And that's why they were making sure that they wanted to commit to their recruiting budget so they could up their NIL and all that kind of stuff. All right, so off the text line, designed by Lifetime Enclosures. FSU's roster isn't deep. They're top-heavy, okay? Maybe, but I see more depth on this football team than I have in the last 4 or 5 years. And I don't think I'm stretching it at all when I say that, because they've got multiple wide receivers, multiple running backs, multiple tight ends, obviously the guys that they brought in along the offensive line. And then we mentioned the defensive guys. Back to the quarterback concern with top-ranked teams, also off the text line. Last 3 Buckeye quarterbacks, first-round draft picks. Last 3 from Bama, also first round. I wouldn't worry about it. And there's nothing wrong with that logic, because Ryan Day has proven that he can move guys in and out of there and turn them into stars. We always used to throw that term around, he's a system quarterback. Well, if you've got a good system, quarterbacks are going to come in there and thrive. That's the idea. That's the whole idea. And so Ryan Day and Matt, you believe that they've already kind of nailed down their quarterback spot, but the bottom line is they've been able to take any of their guys, C.J. Stroud being the most recent one that went number 2 overall, and do great things with them. Alabama has not struggled with quarterback play despite all these different either coordinators or styles of play. They've still been able to get good guys on their football field. So we'll find out whether we got another first-rounder on either one.
I don't think Ohio State hasn't figured out. I think he's going to start probably McCord game 1 and then Devin Brown game 2 and then figure out from there, like Michigan did last year with McNamara and McCartney. But if you're talking about Alabama. You're going from a program that in the last, 7 years has had Jalen Hurts, Tua Tagovailoa, Mac Jones, Bryce Young. And now you're dealing with, you have no idea.
You have three unknowns.
You have no idea.
Yeah.
That's
by the
what's
way,
so
I'd put
strange.
Jalen Milroe right there with Joe Milton, but just whatever. That's just a whole other aside.
No, they're not even close to being the same player. One of them is a thrower. The other
I
one,
have been getting ripped by the Volunteers, Rocky
not even
Top, including the
close to
son-in-law.
that.
Yeah. Listen,
no, they're like night and day different.
Okay, we're going to find out.
Although I do
I
think
love it.
Milroe's going to win the job. I do think that.
Yeah, I think he's
And
going to win the
they're
job.
be more of a. Remember when Jalen Hurts was there his first year as a freshman, and he ran the ball a lot? I think they're going to do that with Milroe.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with those.
No,
they
got the national title game.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing wrong with that. All right, I'm going to slip out and do a little PGA Tour FedEx Cup playoff action. BMW Championship, they're up there at Olympia Fields in Chi-Town. And you guys will have Dan Miller coming up a little bit later on, play-by-play voice for the Detroit Lions with his take. We already heard Frank Frangi's, so get his take on what he thinks of the joint practices. And at least right now, Detroit's saying they're not planning on playing their starters. That's at least.
Dan Campbell officially went on Detroit radio and said as much.
Yeah.
So I would say they're not going to play. And after the injuries they suffered, which I know we hit the Jaguars, minor injuries as they are being called yesterday, but Amon-Ra St. Brown not coming back till next week. So thankfully, I think they dodged a little bit of a bullet with that one because it's a foot injury of some kind, but hopefully they're hoping he'll be back at some point next week. Jamison Williams probably isn't playing the rest of the preseason, so you probably aren't seeing him again until week 7. And so I think that was enough of a wake-up call that Dan Campbell was like, no.
And I'm convinced now you'll see the Jaguars a little Saturday starters. I mean, at least a handful of them, and then maybe all of them against Miami
this weekend.
Yeah. A handful of them this week, and then all of them for a little bit against Miami, which I did not think was going to happen before. All right, it's XL Primetime heading into the 1 o'clock hour.
The First Coast Honda Dealer Studios on 1010XL. Draft in the fast groove on 1010XL.
I've been watching lap times.
This Sunday at Watkins Glen. Brought to you by Famous Automotive Tire and Quick Lube. Servicing every customer like they're famous. On Jacksonville's NASCAR station, 1010XL.
Mia here and my friends over at Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned are doing it again. They are fighting inflation and saving you even more. I'm going to call it Arlington's Inflation Fighter Special, because now that pre-owned 2019 Toyota Corolla I told you about, it's not $1,000 down. Nope, it is just $500 down and $288 per month. Or you choose a pre-owned 2020 Camry, RAV4 or Tacoma, not $1,000 down. Nope, I'm talking half of that, just $500 down and $388 per month. And it doesn't stop there, folks. Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned has over 400 used cars in stock, plus more than 100 vehicles under $18K. And you still get 30 days to love your pre-owned purchase or exchange it for one that you do. Everyone agrees. Inflation, bad. But now we can also agree on this. The Inflation Fighter specials at Arlington Pre-Owned, oh so good. 10939 Atlantic Boulevard and online anytime at arlingtontoyota.com.
We've been telling you for almost a year about Nathan's Family Chiropractic and the 100-Year Lifestyle Network. If chronic back or joint pain is keeping you down, don't listen to me. Listen to what Jacksonville is saying about Dr. Alan Nathan.
The stem cell treatment took the pain away.
Changed my life. It's awesome.
Your body just works better when it's aligned. We're believers.
His no-needle regenerative protocols are giving people their lives back. Get yours back, too. Go to the pro in the know. Don't do another cortisone injection. He's one of us, helping all of us for the past 25 years. For more info, drnathans.com.
Hey Jacksonville, this is 17-time PGA Tour winner Jim Furyk inviting you to join me and the legends of the PGA Tour for the 3rd annual Constellation Furyk and Friends presented by Circle K, October 2 through 8 at Timaquana Country Club. Public parking is free, along with complimentary tournament access for our military, courtesy of ViStar Credit Union. Go to Ticketmaster to get your tickets today, and if you're not traveling to London, but watch the Jags this fall, join us Sunday morning in the Publix Tailgate Village to catch the game on the big screen. For more information, visit ConstellationFurykandFriends.com.
It's storm season, and JEA is committed to keeping you informed. In the event of a storm, we'll text and email you about the status of your services. We use Facebook and Twitter to post real-time updates. Our live outage map on JEA.com lets you track restoration progress. And as crews work to restore services, our storm outreach team will be in local neighborhoods to answer your questions. Because as your community-owned utility, JEA is here to keep you safe and connected. Your community, your utility.
Baloo for Shinatri Chiropractic. They've helped me get rid of my headaches and pain in my neck and back. Are you suffering from an auto accident? What about TMJ pain? Headaches associated with jaw clenching, grinding of the teeth, or stress-related disorders? Shinatri Chiropractic has a physical therapist on staff for rehabilitation, quality chiropractic care, dry needling, massage, and acupuncture. Call 743-6700 or go to shinatridc.com.
AC's broke, it ain't no joke. Call Florida Home AC. Florida Home AC. Florida Home AC. Florida Home AC. FloridaHomeAC.com.
The flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
We've all seen great overtime games and thrilling finishes, but when it comes to having a big time, knowing when to say when is key. Budweiser reminds you to win the day and night by designating a driver. That's a victory every time.
Want to help improve the lives of women and make sure that all survivors of sexual assault are treated with compassion and respect? Join Farah and Farah and the Women's Center of Jacksonville at the summer's biggest breakfast, Thrive, on August 22nd to learn how to pick up the pieces after life throws you a curveball. The Women's Center of Jacksonville is a valuable community resource offering free services when they are needed the most, but they need your support. Visit the WCJ.org for more information on Thrive.
Hi, this is Dave Barker. Want to grow your hair back?
IHRS right here in Jacksonville is the only hair transplant clinic in the country that offers multi-unit hair grafting, FUE Neograft hair transplants, and the 45-minute effective PRP treatments.
Multi-unit hair grafting gave me more hair in one procedure and within my budget.
Thank you, IHRS.
IHRS showed me what was causing my hair loss and helped stop it.
Schedule a free evaluation and find out how to grow your hair back and keep the hair you have. Call 904-777-IHRS. Take the first step to restoring your hair today. Visit hairforme.com.
Now my hair will grow for the rest of my life. Thanks, IHRS.
IHRS has been restoring hair for men and women for over 30 years.
Call now for a free in-person or virtual evaluation. 904-777-IHRS. That's 904-777-4477. Or visit hair4me.com.
Hey, it's Tony from Tony D's Pizza. If you love our pizza and pasta dishes, let us cater an event for you. Family function or office parties, we can deliver you an amazing Italian meal. Remember, it's not just pizza at Tony D's. Bay Meadows and $2.95.
How wide is the moon? The answer coming right up.
It's always a good idea to compare homeowners' insurance rates instead of renewing year in and year out. Log on to southernoak.com and get an instant quote in minutes.
Our family protecting yours, Southern Oak Insurance.
The moon is roughly 2,100 miles wide, about a 3-day drive.
Southern Oak Insurance, our family protecting yours.
This is your Southeast Orthopedic Specialist Local Sports Update. I'm Andrew Gibson for 1010XL. This update brought to you by Southern Oak Insurance. Florida head coach Billy Napier has named Graham Mertz as the starting quarterback for the Gators. Mertz met the media this week in Gainesville.
I love this offense, man. You really need to know what you're doing and what you're seeing. It frees you up to just go play the game. You got to know what every single person on the field's doing every single play. I love it because it's how do we set this offense and this team up for success, and you have that in your hands every single play.
Florida starting quarterback Graham Mertz. The Gators will kick off their 2023 season at Utah 2 weeks from tonight. Meanwhile, preseason Week 2 in the NFL kicks off tonight in Philadelphia. The Eagles host the Browns at 7:30 on NFL Network. It's 88 degrees at 1 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air Conditioning. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars, protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555, Jacksonville. This is XL Primetime, brought to you by Florida Home AC. Now that's cool on 1010XL.
1 o'clock hour is here on a Thursday edition of XL Primetime. Mia O'Brien, Matt Hayes, Leon Searcy, Joe C. out the door, off to PGA Tour duties. The FedEx Cup playoffs heating up, boys. Can Lucas Glover do it again? JJ, weren't you the one who was saying yesterday, like the guy has already jumped because of back-to-back wins to like fourth?
Yeah, so he could potentially win the entire FedEx Cup if he has he doesn't have to win the next two tournaments, but if he's up there, I doubt he will be, but that would be crazy if Lucas Glover, who basically was like 100-something in the standings, turns around and wins this thing.
And he's dealing with, he's got some issues he's dealing with off the
Well, we were talking yesterday. He was the one who got into it with his wife at the Players after he missed the cut a few years ago. There was like a domestic, then his mother-in-law was involved. I don't remember the specifics, but I think maybe she took his side. It's like, yeah, my daughter's crazy.
He's an older guy. I mean, he's 43 years old. It's not like some young gun who just, is
No, he's
finally
been around for a
finding
while.
his
He's got a
stride.
major, I'm pretty sure.
Clemson alum as well.
I did play Sharp Dressed Man because we had a discussion about shirts earlier. And there was a disagreement. I think me and Matt are the only ones on this hill in all of 1010XL that I realized. But when you buy a shirt, Leon, do you wash it or do you just cut the tags and you wear it?
Wash it?
Exactly.
No, I don't wash it. Listen, first of all, I don't go shopping, all right? I go into a store, I know exactly what I want.
You go buying.
I go buying, okay? I go buy the shirt.
But don't you have to look at the colors? Like, you want a polo, but you may not know what cut, what color.
Well, listen, I know I wear 3 extra large tall, okay? If it's a shirt that's 3 extra large tall.
Hasn't changed in a while.
It hasn't changed in a while. I don't have to go in the dressing room to put it on or whatever. But if I'm going somewhere at that particular moment, within the next hour or so, I'll buy the shirt, I'll put the shirt on in the store.
Wear it out the store.
That's
crazy to me.
And
Bro.
the sneakers as well.
There's some funky in those stores.
There's no funky going in that. First of all, you got to realize that the store in which I go to, there's no funky in my store.
Just
right?
class.
You big and sexy. DXL is for the big and sexy. So no funkiness.
DXL.
Yes,
you don't
DXL.
know that? How do you
I just
know that?
I know.
He sees the clientele
because
in there.
Exactly, because I'm a member. All right. So
Plus, like if it's a new shirt, it's got that weird starch feeling to it.
starch.
The
Where do-
weirdest
And you
feeling.
gotta,
And that
like, you
smell.
have to,
It's a
like,
weird
wash it.
smell.
Yeah.
Where do you go
It's a
shopping?
weird smell too.
It's no weird smell.
I like the smell.
That's called
for
new
my
car. That's called
detergent.
new car smell.
No,
That's what
it's
it is.
not like a
Yes.
new car smell.
Well, see, you just
Macy's.
first of all, you had an episode about 10 years ago.
Yeah, I had
That's the reason why you don't
PTSD
say.
because as a young, more than that, this was probably like 20
At
years
Target.
ago. There was a guy at the outlet malls in Orlando, and he was a big fella and a hairy fella, and it was summertime. Everyone was sweating. So me and my dad are in the Adidas store, and this guy inexplicably takes his shirt off, takes one off the rack to try on. It doesn't fit, and he puts it back on the rack. And I was just like,
See, that's
never,
funny, bro.
I
you
will never
forgot
wear
to-
a shirt without washing.
Well, first of all, you forgot to say that he was a hairy monster.
I did say that.
He was a hairy monster.
Yes.
He was sweating armpits and everything.
Yes. Oh, yeah. It
Everybody's
was
got hair
probably
under their
July,
pits, bro.
August.
Most everybody, unless you shave's got hair under your pits.
Listen, I don't go to stores like that.
But when you do, you said you wear it out.
No, this is what
wait a
Leon
minute.
was trying to cope by telling me earlier. Oh, yeah, you know when you go and you try something on, it doesn't fit, and you give it back to them, they don't just go put it back on the rack. They do stuff with it. I
yeah,
was like,
they do.
do
What do
they,
they do with it?
do they
Huh?
do stuff with it?
Bro,
They air
you-
dry it or
tell you-
something.
No, they tell you to leave. They tell you to leave it in there in the room, right? In the changing room. They'll just go get it and put it right
They'll
back
put
on
it
the
back.
rack.
It's a
Absolutely.
courtesy.
Yes, Mia. Is it right?
Yes, it's a courtesy.
They vacuum it.
It's exactly.
They don't, bro. No, they don't. The funky's still there. That's what I'm trying to tell
But, you
you.
know,
Well,
the
maybe I
majority
need
of
to-
people agree with Leon.
Maybe I need to reevaluate.
No. A lot of the text line is like, Leon, don't you know they don't wash it? Like that's you have to wash it because there may be some gunk from somebody else.
People try them
I
shirts
just
on all the time.
Listen. I want to think that there's no stank when I put on my shirt.
You might want to thank it, but you also might want to think the reality of it. Who knows what
But
they
like I
got?
said, around 1010XL, it was like Joe C., Leon, Dempsey, Denmark. Like everybody thought me and Matt were crazy. I'm just like, all right.
maybe we are.
Well,
I don't know.
where are these shirts coming from that these men are putting on? Like, are they coming from our prop closet here, where it's like fresh out of
No,
a
just
box,
like
or-
any store, a Bell's,
Yeah, anything.
whatever.
Any store where you go, where you just go buy, like, would you buy a shirt, like a blouse at a store, and wear it out or wear it before you've washed it?
My girl does.
No, you got to wash it.
Right.
See, my girl will buy a T-shirt from Marshalls
Yeah,
or whatever.
that's
She'll
weird.
just wear it.
T-shirt you have to wash. Like if
Leon
I will say
disagrees.
this, if it's a like a romper or something that I don't want to like ruin the wrinkles, like like the specific
Right.
way that it's like maybe that, but only from a nice designer store.
So wait a minute, Mia. You've never had a girls' night out.
Yeah.
Y'all might be in the car or whatever, and
Yeah.
you ain't like the shirt you had on. You say, "Drop me by the store so I can get me something to wear," and you ain't going there and buy you something, put it on, so you wouldn't have to go back
Well, that
home.
sounds
and
like
ride
an
out.
emergency
That's an
situation.
emergency,
No,
yeah.
you going to the club. Going to the club's an emergency.
For women,
Some people might.
Yes, your outfit is. It has to be on point. See, so people agree with Leon. Somebody says, "I gotta wash first." Someone says, "I'm a sweaty, I'm a
answer your
sweaty
question,
man."
Leon.
You're a sweaty beast now.
Speaking of
sweat.
sweat,
Yeah.
there was one time I was in New York City for an interview in college, and I had, I believe it was either a skirt or pants on, and it was like 99 degrees, and of course I hadn't lived in Florida yet, so I wasn't used to like that type of temperature, so I did go running into Ann Taylor Loft, bought shorts,
There
and
it
changed
is.
into them just because, but
She
that
could
was,
have died of heat stroke.
it was an emergency. I was sweating through
There it
the
is.
other.
Not only that, the rest of the day you were like, this is weird.
Yes, because
Got,
it
like,
felt
a
weird.
Got a weird feel to
But
it.
at the
I
same
agree.
time, I
always
was
feels weird.
I was also in New York City, so I was like, well, who really cares? And also, if I sit down on a dirty subway bench,
Yeah.
then like,
It's all dirty.
It's
who
all
cares?
dirty.
Whatever.
New York's all dirty.
This guy destroys us, Leon, but I
What?
have to read it on the text
What'd he
line.
say?
He says, not many people put on Miami Hurricane shirts, so Leon's probably right.
Well-
His have not been worn.
Well, they don't sell them up here. Trust me.
I know,
I've
looked.
Yeah,
They're
they don't sell 'em.
nowhere.
All right. In all seriousness, let's.
We got 1,000 texts.
Yes, we are. We appreciate all of you on the text line. Brought to you by Lifetime Enclosures, 641-1010. When you buy a new shirt, do you wash it first? Please sound off and let us know. Let's take one quick break because then I want to come back. We're going to watch and crunch some tape, boys. Leon, you had a chance to watch some of the video from yesterday's
Well, we have
Jaguars
Dan Miller
practice.
next.
Oh, we have Dan Miller next?
Yes.
Oh, I thought he was at 140.
120.
That's okay. Never mind. All right, so let's hit the tape real quick then. Anton Harrison, we had heard good things from yesterday's practice, and then last night, the Jaguars social team puts up some of the videos of him versus Aiden Hutchinson. What did you see?
Well, I mean, you ever seen a right tackle cry or tear up a little bit? I did a little bit when I saw him play because
Oh, because you were so happy.
I was happy to see it. Listen, I went on the Jaguars network to pull up some tape or whatever. Now I pull up the tape of Anton Harrison. He went up against Aiden Hutchinson, number 2 pick overall last year, who had 9.5 sacks. The first pass set, Aiden Hutchinson is trying to test the water. He comes out, he gives him speed bull rush, and he handled it. Jacked him up nice and quick, put his hands on him, sat down in there. And then the second pass rush, Aiden Hutchinson, he tried to set him up with the speed rush first. So the second move was an inside move, a spin move inside. And Anton Harrison punched him, sat, moved his feet and everything like that. So it was a beautiful thing to see him transition, out of his stand, get his hands up, not leaning forward, not sitting too far back to punch the guy and sit. That's what it is, kick, slide, punch, and sit. And then be able to transfer your weight to where you're not top heavy and you're not sitting down too much. And I'm not going to say they were perfect, but I'm just saying they were legit. They were legit for a guy.
He looked good.
Aiden Hutchinson,
I mean, it
who
was
is
individual.
a blossoming pass rusher, and he just got to keep getting sets like that. Keep gradually growing because down the road, in the thick of the season. He's going to go up against some prolific pass rushing. He's going to have to be his ultimate best. When he goes against KC, he's got Chris Jones, who's going to definitely be on his side. When he goes to London against Buffalo, Von Miller's going to be on his side. And then when we play the 49ers, it's Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa is going to be going against us. So he's going to have to be – he's got to be able to prep himself now because somewhere down the road we're going to need him to block those guys.
And the easiest negative is, well, it was only individuals. But to perform well to individuals – that transitions into team, obviously, right?
Absolutely. Especially, it does wonders for your confidence.
Yeah.
Absolutely does wonders for your confidence when you go up against a guy like Aiden Hutchinson, who's getting all the fanfare because of the way
Defensive
he
Rookie of the Year.
Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
When you block him, you feel good about it. Your confidence builds. You feel like a belonging. I belong in this league. Absolutely.
We've had a lot of conversations over the last few weeks about one-on-one drills, especially in the trenches, just like this one, which the video that the Jaguars posted, which you can go watch it on their Instagram, is where I saw it, and then Leon saw it on Jaguars.com. We've had a lot of conversations about one-on-ones, Leon. Do they actually translate to the practice field? Now, a couple of those reps between Anton and Aiden Hutchinson were during team periods. It was not one-on-ones. But I do want to read this tweet from J.J. Watt in case you missed it this morning. I love seeing footage from NFL training camps, but can't stand accounts posting videos of one-on-one reps from one-on-ones and only posting one rep and making outlandish statements. A, one-on-ones are for working on your craft, new moves. B, literally every player wins and loses reps every single day. One rep tells nothing.
True. He's right. But it still counts. It still counts. I mean, you're gonna. I mean, he's right. You're working on your craft.
It still makes you better, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can't get over the top when you win, and you can't be too down when you lose. It's a teaching moment. You figure out what you did fundamentally or technique wise, the reason why you got beat or how you won. I mean, it's just like, I don't know if kids do this anymore, but it's like a notepad. You take notes on. You watch yourself and you take notes on what you did good, what you did bad, and then you rectify the matter the next day in practice. So, yeah, but it's an opportunity to. But listen, also in football, what J.J. Watt didn't allude to is that if I beat my man, I win. So one-on-ones teach you that if I beat my man, if I block my man, I win. If everybody has that concept along the offensive line, then everybody's winning.
Right.
And if you're winning up front, then more than likely you're going to be winning the game.
Let's see if Dan Miller agrees. If Anton got the best of Aiden Hutchinson up in Detroit last night, yesterday, we head up to Motown with the voice of the Lions coming up next right here on XL Primetime.
Buckle up. You're in the First Coast Honda Dealer Studios with XL Primetime on 1010XL. Find your new Honda at your 8 local Honda dealers.
The plot begins to thicken. Now, I can't be specific about the heroes and zeros.
Dan Hill, Jeff Prosser, Mike Debs, Fat Tony, Joe C, Hacker, Matt Hayes, Leon Searcy, Frank Franchi, Hayes Carline, Lauren Brooks, Rick Ballou, 1010XL.
Joe C for Preferred Roofing and the entire Preferred group that has been a part of Jacksonville for a long, long time. And that's what I like, the alignment, the allegiance, and knowing that they're part of the community. And they've got all these different divisions that they can definitely help you in the construction game. Preferred Roofing, if it's time for replacement, if it's time for repair, get in touch with them. They are high rated and they certainly can back up their work. And then Preferred Builders, remodels, additions, brand new homes, whatever it might be. The gutter division is right there, and they were on the spot down at Joe C's Habitat, putting some gutter covers on for me. So check it all out. Preferred Group. Don't forget preferredroofingjacks.com and preferredbuildersjacks.com.
Key Buick GMC. Save up to $6,000 on new Buicks and no payments until 2024. That's no payments until next year. Combine big savings with low APR to fit any budget, like 4.84% APR for up to 72 months. Remember, whenever you purchase a brand new Buick or GMC from Key, it comes with the lifetime powertrain warranty. We are professional grade. Stop in today and ask for Derek or Brian. Key Buick GMC on the corner of South Side and Gate, or go to keybuickgmc.com.
When you're clocking out and happy hour's already started. But you're clocking out and happy hour's already started. The choice to enjoy is easy. Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Pick up Bud Light at your local convenience store today. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
If your hair is thinning and you're looking for an easy solution that will restore your hair, check out IHRS PRP Platelet-Rich Plasma. PRP, using your own platelets and cells to restore your hair where it's thinning. Combined with their FDA-approved laser hair therapy and pharmaceutical-grade products, all three will deliver one better result. Call IHRS now for a free evaluation and to find out if their PRP 45-minute treatment will work for you. Now there is a solution for any man or woman with any degree of hair loss. And it's all in one place. Call 904-777-IHRS. IHRS has been restoring hair for over 30 years. The staff at IHRS knows what it's like to lose their hair. And that's why they're ready to help you grow your hair back.
Schedule your free hair and scalp analysis today. Call 904-777-IHRS. That's 904-777-4477. Or visit hair4me.com.
This is former NFL quarterback David Garrard. If your knees have taken a beating and you're finally ready to do something about it, then let Southeast Orthopedic take a look. Come on, do your knees a favor.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
David Garrard here. I've had the PRP treatment from Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, and my knees are really doing well. Platelet-rich plasma treatment may be the answer for whatever is hurting you.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Oh, I love your show.
If you can't catch your favorite show on 1010XL, you can always catch it on demand.
Commercial-free shows immediately after our live shows end.
At 1010XL.com.
Brought to you by Underdog Fantasy.
Whether you're in need of a simple AC repair or it's time to upgrade your HVAC system, Duck Duck Air Conditioning is here to help. Give us a call today to schedule an estimate, 904-862-6769, or online at duckduckac.com.
Exciting news from Woody's Barbecue. Backed by overwhelming demand, Woody's presents their all-you-can-eat chicken special every Sunday with all the trimmings, just $12.49.
At Woody's Barbecue, it's what we do.
Let's eat.
Men, if you're struggling with erectile dysfunction or PE, the medical providers at Prime Men's Medical Center offer breakthrough treatments that eliminate problems in the bedroom without pain or surgery. Listen to a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Prime Men's Medical Center offers the most advanced treatments to eliminate ED and PE. 98% of men experience instant results on their first office visit. They're even lasting 90 minutes or longer, regardless of age or medical history.
Don't just take our word for it. Call Prime Men's Medical Center now for our limited time offer. Your initial consultation and first treatment are completely free. You'll see instant results right in the office. You'll even get a gift that enhances your performance in the bedroom. All this, worth hundreds of dollars, is free if you call now. 904-664-8217. 904-664-8217. That's 904-664-8217.
Hey folks, Mike Dempsey here, and I want to know, are your drafty windows letting all that cool air right back outside? Will they protect your home from Florida's unpredictable weather? If not, then it's time for the peace of mind that comes only with Pella Windows and Doors. Pella offers durable wood, fiberglass, and vinyl products in various styles and designs to best complement your home. So visit the Pella of Jacksonville showroom on Phillips Highway next to Tesla, or find them at PellaJacks.com. That's Pella Windows and Doors at PellaJacks.com.
Best Bet is number one. That's right. Best Bet Jacksonville and Orange Park have one-card poker, the fastest and easiest card game to learn and play. Play against a designated player, one card at a time, and the highest card wins even money. If the card values are the same, it's time for war. Just like the game you remember. You must be 18 years or older to play. More at bestbetjacks.com. That's bestbetjacks.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. This is XL Primetime, protected by Preferred Roofing on 1010XL.
You've heard from a lot of Jaguars reporters, the Jaguars contingent up there in Detroit throughout the duration of their 2 days thus far in Detroit, Michigan. So let's head behind enemy lines and see if the rumors are true. Did the Jaguars really dominate the Detroit Lions?
Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
Dan Miller, the voice of the Detroit Lions, joins us now on the All-Pro Roofing Hotline. Let's keep it straight and easy, Dano. Who won the day yesterday, today, overall, when it came to the Jaguars and the Lions joint practices?
You know, yesterday I thought it went kind of back and forth. I didn't necessarily see where anybody dominated. I thought Jacksonville's defense made some real nice plays against the Lions' offense. Ball security is a big thing for the Lions, and Jacksonville took it away a couple times, so I thought they did a real nice job. Look, that Jacksonville offense is really talented, and there were some moments where it looked like they got some shots in on the Lions, but I also thought the Lions flew around a little bit and made some plays. So, you know, I would be hard-pressed to say anybody dominated anybody, and today there's a different feel to a practice when nobody has any pads on there. But, you know, look, my takeaway is these are two good teams. These are two teams that are potentially really good. But I kind kind of get the sense that Jacksonville, who won a playoff game last year, nice step, no doubt, would love to have done that. But I kind of get the sense that they're kind of in the same spot as the Lions. Looks really good on paper. Now go do it on the field, and let's see what kind of season you can put together. But I walked away really impressed with Jacksonville and their potential, and I feel like the Lions have that kind of potential as well.
Now, Dan, Dan Campbell comes across as being chippy. I heard there was a little chippiness going on for the last couple of days, a little pushing and shoving, a little smack talk going on. I mean, that kind of runs right over what Dan Campbell's alley, isn't it?
Yeah, no, and yesterday it was definitely chippy, in particular with the Lions defense and the Jacksonville offense. The Lions defense, they got a couple of guys in the defensive backfield that talk. And, C.J. Gardner-Johnson's one of those. And certainly he has been a huge addition for this team. And it's something that they needed because they got a lot of young players on that defense. He's only 25, but he's got some skins on the wall and done some things in this league. So he's kind of lifted them up. But, yeah, there was some chatter. And then today John Kaminsky kind of took Jermichael Hasty down to the ground, and I don't think folks necessarily like that. I don't think it was overly, aggressive, but it was one of those moments where everybody kind of just, the sidelines both cleared, everybody met in one place. I don't think anything really happened inside the scrum. But, look, it was good, intensity from both sides, and when you get that, look, because you did it, it's going to get a little heated from time to time.
So, Dan, the big talking point in this city is the Jaguars' defensive line. Will they have enough when the season begins? Enough pressure, enough sacks, enough disruption on that group? You watched them against the Lions. What's your takeaway of the Jags' defensive front?
Yeah, mostly watching it yesterday because, again, that's when they were in pads. And look, the Lions believe they have a top 3 to 5 offensive line in this league, so it's a good test. I mean, look, I see the guys that you have up there in Walker and Allen, and I think it's just a matter of how far can those guys come. And I know Allen's been around obviously longer than Walker, but that to me looks like you're dealing with some of the same question marks that we are in Detroit about. We had, 30th or 32nd ranked defense when it comes to run and pass last year. You guys were down there, not quite that far, but lower middle of the pack. So I think you're facing some of the same questions. Nothing really jumped out at me. Look, this Lions offensive line is pretty darn good. But I saw the athleticism that you have up front in Jacksonville, and certainly I see the potential there. I didn't see anything that led me to believe that they're ready to take off like a rocket. But, again, it might look a whole lot different for both sides come September. And I see what this Jacksonville defense can be. And, those linebackers fly, man. And that showed up in these reps against the Lions. That's a talented group you guys have at linebacker.
Dan Miller, the play-by-play voice of the Detroit Lions, is our guest on the All-Pro Roofing Hotline. Dan, the videos that certainly lit up social media yesterday were the Jaguars pass catchers, Trevor Lawrence and his playmakers, simply lighting up, or at least in these choice videos, the Detroit Lions secondary. Now, I know this is a reworked secondary. Jeff Okudah obviously shipped out of Detroit, some additional pieces. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, a guy who much of our listening fan base is very familiar with. How would you rate that Detroit secondary? Is it just the nature of the Jaguars picking on perhaps the Achilles heel of this Detroit team, or is it much improved?
No, first of all, and we were talking about this watching you guys, that group of receivers that you have is really good, really explosive, and going to be a lot of fun to watch, and you got a heck of a quarterback throwing on the ball. I think our secondary is going to be nice. I really do. I think it's getting Gardner-Johnson, getting Cam Sutton from Pittsburgh, getting Tracy Walker back from an Achilles injury last year, drafting Brian Branch out of Alabama, and he has done nothing but force this coaching staff to put him on the field since camp began. And Jerry Jacobs at the other corner is a former undrafted free agent who's just, he's gotten better, and he's now certainly more than serviceable out there. There's no doubt. Your guys made some plays in the first day of when everybody was in pads. There was a couple of hits that our defense put on out there that I think they took exception to. So it went back and forth. But the explosiveness of what Jack Jacksonville can be, especially with Etienne coming out of the backfield and a quarterback that can sling it. It was evident, and it was impressive. But as far as our secondary, I'm expecting it to be pretty good, and I'm expecting it to be also good because I think our defensive line is a year older and a year better, and they're going to be able to pressure quarterbacks as they did in the second half of the season and make those guys' jobs a little bit easier.
Dan, ever since Dan Campbell's inception, he's done a masterful job crushing the stereotype that the same old Lions, that the year last year you had winning 8 out of your 10 games, almost making the playoffs. Well, in this upcoming season with the expectations so high, I mean, a lot of people, other the constituents, have the Lions winning the division and going into the playoffs. How do you think Dan Campbell is handling that as far as the team goes to keep them motivated to not just be paper champions, but to move on in the season and do well?
Yeah, and that's a great question, and it's been one that has been a focal point, I think, in camp for the Lions. And let me say this: the fact of being favorites in the NFC North, I think that's based on a couple of things. One, like I said, I do think this team is good, and they did win 8 out of 10 to close last year and look like a team on the rise. But that's also coupled with the fact that Chicago, Green Bay, Minnesota all have significant questions. And I think that people don't know what to make of Green Bay without Aaron Rodgers, or Chicago, with all the free agents they signed, but not a good team last year. And then Minnesota, their defense wasn't good last year. And the question is, can it be any better? And then, you don't have Thielen anymore. You don't have Cook anymore. So what are they going to be? Still, obviously, got maybe the best receiver in the league in Jefferson. But so I think the Lions benefit in terms of people believing in them a little bit from what the other division is going through. Look, from day one, I think this team has had really the message coming out of the players and the coaches. They haven't done anything. They didn't make the playoffs last year. They didn't win a playoff game last year. So, yeah, all this is great. But as you had indicated, it's on paper. So when they play Kansas City to open the season in front of the entire country, they don't get 10 points on the scoreboard because people think they're going to be good. You got to go out there and earn it. So, look, Dan Campbell, from the moment he walked in the door, has done a great job of setting the tone with his team. This is another thing he has to set the tone with, is making sure that a lot of young guys on this team that they're counting on heavily aren't reading those clips and don't think they're good. You got to go out there and improve you're good. And that's where I think some of the veterans they added helps as well. But it's something to watch. Look, guys, we've been kicked around a lot in this town with high hopes and then getting, dusted and not having your dreams come true. So I think there's a lot of wait and see involved, and I think a lot of that optimism is much more significant outside of Detroit than it is in Detroit, where people are hopeful and somewhat confident, but there's also an element of go do it. Go do it and show us that you are what people think you are. And I think it's entirely possible, but it's got to happen on the field.
Dan, I think this question perfectly dovetails into what you were talking about. Jameson Williams, how good can they be with him, and how disappointed was the franchise that he let something like that affect his ability to play in the league?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot of questions out there about Jameson, and the talent is evident. He is an athlete unlike you see in many places in this league because of that speed. It's other level speed, and when he turns it on, it's something else. I mean, I grew up and covered and watched Darryl Green, and Darryl was different. Jameson is that kind of different when he kicks it into high gear. So, look, he is going to be gone probably the rest of training camp with the hamstring injury from yesterday, and then he's got 6 weeks before he can come back. There's so much for him to prove. The potential is there, but he's got to put in the work and take that potential and turn it into reality. The disappointing thing is, and you can't, look, injuries happen, but now these next 3 weeks are gone too, and he can't get that work in to move towards the player that he can be. When he gets back in week 7, he's starting at ground zero, and he's starting as a guy who's got potential, but a guy who, frankly, hasn't accomplished anything in this league. So I'm not saying he won't. I'm just saying it's got to happen. The work's got to happen. The results have to come. We've seen things in camp. There's been disappointment in terms of his ability just to simply catch the ball. And Dan Campbell has talked about that. It's something that he's worked on, but it's like everything is flying around. They've got to find some way, and he's got to find some way to grab all those pieces and put it together and make him a whole, piece of this team and a whole product. And if he does that, he can be special, but it's got to happen.
You can find Dan Miller at Dan Miller Fox 2 on the Twitter machine. And Dan, before we let you go, I just want to leave our audience with this. The Lions draft class was one that a lot of people applauded, even if many felt that the second-round picks probably could have been their first-round picks, and they could have gotten their first-round picks in the second or late first round. Give me one name from this rookie class who has stood out so far in training camp that perhaps midway through this upcoming season we'll say, dang, the Lions got that one right.
It's hard to give you one. I'm going to sneak two in. Jahmyr Gibbs is a weapon and is going to be explosive. But the guy I would give you is Brian Branch, second-round pick out of Alabama, that has just come in from day one and looked comfortable. And as I mentioned a moment ago, the coaches can't keep him off the field. He's just got great instincts. He's got ball skills. He has really just looked like a guy that had no business going 45th overall. And people, you guys know, thought he was going to go before that. I think the Lions feel extremely fortunate to have him. I think he's going to be in that lineup, maybe opening night, but if not opening night, very soon after that. He's just got things you can't teach in a football player, and he looks like he could be really, and look, we're in training camp, guys, and I know it's a little hyperbole, but he looks like he could be the type of guy that could be the steal of a draft. I mean, he's looked that good. If he continues on this trajectory, it's going to be really exciting.
Hey, there were plenty of people in Duval that were hoping the Jags would pick Brian Branch. So good to hear he's doing well. Great to hear you're doing well, Dan. Thanks so much for joining us on XL Primetime.
Appreciate you guys. I think you're going to have a fun season. That's a fun team. I wish you luck with it. Good luck.
There he goes. Dan Miller will be on the call on Saturday as the Lions and the Jags square off at Ford Field for a preseason game number 2.
What a draft for them, by the way. Jahmyr Gibbs and Jack Campbell in the first round. Those are 2 starters. Sam Laporte in the second round starter. Brian Branch, obviously starter at safety. That's 4 guys right there. And then your quarterback of the future with Hendon Hooker. That's a pretty good draft, man.
All right, that's why I had to ask him about it, just because, those are potentially 5 starters for you 2-3 years from now, depending, of course, on if Jared Goff is actually the guy in Detroit. We have one more segment to go back here in Jacksonville on XL Primetime. We hand it off to the Frangie Show coming up next.
Cruising with XL Primetime in the First Coast Honda Dealer Studios on 1010XL. Jacksonville's cool summer station. Good friends, great sports talk, and summer on the First Coast. 1010XL.
The Internal Revenue Service is reported to be receiving $80 billion in additional funding for the 2022 tax year for unpaid tax enforcement. There has never been a budget increase this large in the history of the IRS. All of this funding is for more revenue officers and collecting delinquent taxes. If you owe the IRS, you have a short time to get your tax issues resolved or face financial devastation. J. David Tax Law is right here in Jacksonville and provides tax relief for all personal payroll and sales tax problems. They've achieved thousands of successful outcomes for their clients, and that's why their reputation speaks for itself. If you have federal or state sales tax debt, do your research to see why J. David Tax Law is the most effective option to relieve your tax burden. Call J. David Tax Law at 904-507-4777. That's 904-507-4777 or at jdavidtaxlaw.com.
Come to Monahan Jewelers store-wide 50 to 60% off sale going on now for a very limited time. Everything on display is 50 to 60% off at Monahan Jewelers. We've bought so much brand new jewelry, we need to make room for it. Diamond jewelry, engagement semi-mounts, colored gemstones, even gold chains. Right now, everything on display at Monahan Jewelers is 50 to 60% off. Jewelry's going quick, so come to Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach.
Let's fire up the flavor and ignite those appetites. Let's slow down and smell the barbecue. Because all your favorites are smoked for hours and ready for eating when you are. From our famous ribs to slow smoked pork. Enjoy some perfection by the plateful, safely in our dining room or in the comfort of your home. With curbside pickup, drive-through, and delivery. Sonny's Barbecue. Local pit masters since '68.
Did you know that hot weather is worse for your car than cold? It's true. Extreme heat can evaporate your battery's fluids and cause corrosion. If you're having a hard time starting your engine, visit Batteries Plus. We'll test your battery free of charge. We have plenty of replacement batteries on hand. Plus, we offer installation on most makes and models, or upgrade to Premier installation for added protection. Stop by your nearest location or shop our selection online at batteriesplus.com.
You want to know how to get more RV for your money? Easy. You go to General RV during the big summer blowout, August 16th through the 20th. We've got big blowout prices on travel trailers, fifth wheels, motorhomes, and more. There are new models already coming in, so everything is priced to move. And this is how to save thousands. You want to make your money go farther on a new RV? Head to General RV now. In Orange Park on Wells Road off 295.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville. I always ask you about motorcycles, but Cycles right now features pontoon boats. Tell us about it.
It's an exciting time. We just got into it. We're carrying the Coach Pontoon lineup, overbuilt, lifetime structural warranty. Comes with a legendary Honda engine. These things are super fun. They are not your dad's pontoon boat.
That means they are tricked out, ready to roll.
The best sound system from Rockford Fosgate, Wet Sounds, they're in it.
Check out now the Coach Pontoon boats at Cycles of Jacksonville on Atlantic near Regency.
This Date in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On August 17, 2008, Rafael Nadal beats Fernando Gonzalez to win the men's tennis singles at Beijing Olympics, Spain's first ever Olympic gold medalist.
Craving a cold one? Well, zip into one of the great gate locations you see all over town and pick up a cold Bud Light, or a Natty, or an Ultra, maybe a 12-pack of the King of Beers, or some cold Coronas. It's all happening at your local gate convenience store. Slide on in today.
Did you know that many cooling companies are now part of big conglomerates with no connection to Northeast Florida? In the past, they have concentrated on heating and air conditioning, but after a buyout, many add plumbing and electrical services. This raises their overhead, and those costs are passed on to the consumer. It's a case where bigger isn't better, it's just more expensive. Not Mike Merritt's Heating and Air. Mike Merritt remains family-owned and operated. Merritt's focus has been the same for more than 30 years, keeping Northeast Florida comfortable, no matter what the weather. And there are no overtime or weekend surcharges. Mike Merritt's team does not work on commission. They repair only what needs repair and offer replacements only on what can't be fixed. And unlike at giant corporations where you can feel like just another number, with Mike Merritt, you'll feel like number one. Florida license CACO 50384.
Need protection? Call Craig and Christine Kaprosky at Goosehead Insurance. The Kaproskys are a husband-wife team committed to finding you the right coverage at the right price in just a few short minutes. For home, auto, flood, or specialty insurance, Craig and Christine Kaprosky are the answer. Craig.Kaprosky at Goosehead.com.
Active and pain-free. That's the ticket. Dr. George Barry here, and I know that's the goal of every patient I see. They want the best possible care so they can go back to enjoying life. That could be pick up basketball, golf, tennis, running, or just working out. It all requires you to be as healthy as you can be. If joint pain is taking its toll on your active lifestyle, come see me at Barry Orthopedics. We have locations all over Jacksonville and can diagnose and treat even the most severe joint pain. A homegrown Jacksonville practice. Find out more at BarryOrthopedics.com.
This is Dr. Kevin Kaplan, head team physician for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the latest update on the Jags, brought to you by Baptist Health and JOI.
Jaguars general manager Trent Baalke was a guest of the Rich Eisen Show. He was asked how Calvin Ridley has looked so far at Jaguars training camp.
I don't think Calvin's really missed a beat, to be honest with you. You know, we were pretty in tune with what he was doing in his off time. Knew some people that were real close to him and working with him during that time. You know, he's hungry. He's ready to get back to being who he was on the football field, and I think he's kind of picked up where he's left off. He's a tireless worker. You can tell it's extremely important to him to get his name back, and we're just pleased with where he's at and pleased that he's a part of the program right now.
I'm Andrew Gibson with your Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Jaguars update.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars, protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. This is XL Primetime, brought to you by Florida Home AC. Now that's cool on 1010XL.
In the words of Leon Searcy, we have the Leon shift on Thursdays now.
Mm-hmm.
We're out at 2.
Oh, that's right.
We're out at 2.
Welcome to my world.
Only one more segment to go. Mia O'Brien, Matt Hayes, Leon Searcy, JJ LaSelva, Joe Cowart already off to PGA Tour duties. And so before we say hello to the Frangie Show, let's debate, boys. If you're Doug Peterson, are you playing your starters against the Detroit Lions on Saturday? We have not got confirmation from the Jags head coach which way he is leaning or who or how many starters may play.
Oh, well, we can go position-wise, all right? Let's go offensive line. Only two guys I would start. It's probably Walker Little and Anton Harrison, depending on his shoulder, how severe that may. Maybe not even Ford. I'm only playing those two. Wide receivers, absolutely not. Tight end, no. Quarterback, absolutely. Running, but no. Those two offensive linemen are the only ones that I feel that need more work. And so defensive-wise, who you gonna put out there defensive front? All those guys. Yeah, I know you're gonna say Trayvon Walker. Trayvon needs to get some reps.
I'm telling you what, man. I told the guys at the crossover this story this morning. So I'm writing this morning, and just out of the blue, I start thinking maybe Trayvon's a lot like Trevor Lawrence last year. His first year was terrible. Second year comes in his first half of the second year, he's making mistakes, and then boom. It all clicks.
He gets it.
And it's
a
rocket ship.
Like a Cassandra.
So maybe at some point
even though Dan Miller just said he doesn't see the rocket ship, but there is potential.
Yeah, so maybe at some point this year it clicks for him and it's the rocket ship.
Mm-hmm. Maybe. Yeah.
Listen,
at this point.
So anyway, I'm going to start thinking like that now, okay? How about that?
Okay, so as the 22 starters, I probably only play 2.
Just those 2,
That's
tackles.
It.
That's it.
Yeah, everybody else.
In the final game, you're saying?
I mean, I'm talking about this upcoming
coming game.
The Saturday, yeah.
Yeah.
Because then I thought it was interesting. I've also heard rumblings, whether it was Frank or even, on Jaguars Today, of if they don't play at all this week, knowing you have that week buffer in between the Dolphins preseason game and the opener. Are you going to play any starters next week? I know we're still learning as we go with just 3 preseason games.
Yeah, 2 weeks off is a lot. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the starters maybe get a quarter.
Against the Dolphins. So you see that as the more
likely. You probably get a quarter against the Dolphins because, I mean, to have, it's literally 3 weeks off and not playing any meaningful football. I mean, I know people say that play preseason is meaningful, but you still want to get quality reps. So if you don't play them next week against the Dolphins, you're talking about that week off, you're talking about another week, and then you got a week of practice for the game. So you're talking about literally 3 weeks before they play the Indianapolis Colts.
A few series, yeah.
Yeah, I would give them a quarter. Against the Dolphins, I give them a quarter. I absolutely wouldn't play any of them this week or so.
I say that, and then you do know that I absolutely abhor preseason games because somebody's going to get hurt.
If you think like that, Matt, then it will happen.
I've thought of the same thing, Leon.
Yeah,
the last few days as I've watched preseason games.
If you put it in the universe, it's going to manifest.
I understand.
The reality
all of
is
that,
you accept the risk every time you step out on the football field.
You can get hurt in practice.
Should we say we shouldn't play Trevor Lawrence against, the Jags shouldn't play Trevor Lawrence against the Texans because they're bad?
Did you see what happened to Joe Burrow? In practice, roll out, calf strain. That part. Had nothing to do with preseason.
You see Armstead was carted off the field today at the Dolphins practice?
No, stop. I did.
Let's get the Carline take on this.
Now, the 2-minute drill, brought to you by Tire Outlet. Keeping 1010XL rolling with wholesale prices and premium service. Tire Outlet, Jacksonville's largest locally owned automotive repair shop.
Hey, Carline, still no official word from Doug Peterson if starters will play Saturday or not. What say you?
Yeah, I don't think
Who would you play? Would you play anyone?
I would not play anyone. In fact, I would forfeit the game and go home.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, I don't. I think you're going to see a long list of inactives for the Jaguars. I think it'll be similar to what Dallas did last week. I would think it's at least 25 guys, if not more. This is the point of the joint practice this week, is to get the work ones against ones and more of a controlled environment. And I just think you're so close to the opener. I wouldn't go live again I mean, to me, I wouldn't go live in the Miami game. Now, I will not be surprised if Doug does, but I think it's a mistake. I would not do anything to jeopardize getting this team to the starting line healthy.
I agree.
September 10th.
None of that. I don't know why they have. Why don't they just go to 18 regular season games and just get rid of the preseason?
Well,
I know why.
They will eventually.
Because of the owners want the extra gates. I get all
Correct.
that.
I think eventually you're looking at an 18-2 model. So, I mean, again, that Dolphins game, you're only at that point 2 weeks away basically from the opener. I mean, that doesn't even have to be obviously like a torn ACL. I mean, it could be something that's fairly minor.
Right.
But if it's a 4-week injury, now you're talking about missing the first 2 games of the year, including the Kansas City game because they played in the 3rd preseason game. I think they're pros. You try and get as much work in as you can throughout the practices leading up to it. But I think if I was Doug Peterson, my starters would not be live tackling again until September 10th.
I think there's an argument for both, but I think what's beautiful is the reality, boys, that this depth chart is so deep that you need this 3rd preseason game for those bottom of the roster guys to duke it out, get some more stuff on tape. And so it's not like, outside of perhaps the tight end position where Garrett Prince has to play because they literally don't have any other tight ends. You're in the clear. There's enough bodies there that you don't have to pull from the guys that'll be playing for you in Indianapolis. All right, Carline, what we got cracking on Frangie Show?
Yeah, we're going to obviously get Frank's take as he was able to watch the practice today. And, I'm sure Frank will have a litany of great guests for us. I think Lageman again today. It'll be obviously a lot of Jags with 6 segments. But we'll get into a little college football as well with that drawing even closer. But, tons of Jaguars as they wrap up joint practices in Detroit coming up on the Frangie Show.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hayes. And without further ado, JJ.
Now, today's takeaways, brought to you by Key Buick GMC, where our family dealership has been helping families buy vehicles for over 50 years.
Our takeaways from today's program, I got to go with what Dan Miller said about the Jaguars wide receivers. They are legit because he believes that secondary for the Lions is better than people give it credit for despite some retooling this offseason.
Your takeaway, Leon?
What my takeaway from the day is don't
wash your shirt.
Wash your shirt. Don't go in the store.
I told you, man.
Well,
wash
that's
your
my
shirt.
takeaway.
Yeah.
I've learned something now.
We've changed.
You've enlightened me. Okay,
right,
no
good.
longer will I
like
go into a store and just pick up a
It's
shirt.
like a savage.
I won't be a Viking anymore.
That is
right?
such a heathen.
I won't be a Cro-Magnon man. All right.
My takeaway is nobody got hurt. I mean, honestly, it's just, and Carline mentioned it. It's just you're literally adding extra risk, and just get to the start of the season. Somebody gets hurt in the first game, you can deal with that because you know what, it's part of the game. I hate seeing guys get injured. Any team, not just the Jags, any team before the real game starts.
Well, see, I'm an old dog. I mean, I need a simulated game day speed to get myself acclimated to 16 games. You know, times have changed.
Times have changed.
Yes, they have.
And now joint practices, Robert Saleh only wants to have one.
One, yeah.
Yeah,
he cancels.
Because wait for it, JJ. Feeling. You don't want to upset too many feelings. Hopefully we didn't upset too many of your feelings on this lovely Thursday of XL Primetime. For Joe C., for Leon Searcy, for Matt Hayes, for JJ LaSelva, our thanks to Frank Frangie and Dan Miller for joining us live from Detroit. We will catch you tomorrow.
You're riding in the First Coast Honda Dealer Studios. XL Primetime on 1010XL. Here's another look behind the microphone at 1010XL with Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser.
I can't believe I put up with you for so many years!
Mornings on 1010XL.
You know what? I don't need you. Nobody comes to see you anyway.
Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute is the sports medicine leader in Northeast Florida. We're proud to be the official sports medicine provider for your hometown teams, including the Jaguars, Sharks, Axemen, Armada, and the Jumbo Shrimp. We have the most cutting-edge resources for sports medicine care, including active armor casting,